Hey, what's going on guys? It's Brainbean here again. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at another flagship gaming keyboard. Now this one is coming at us from Thermaltake, and while they may not necessarily be known for their peripherals, as they're definitely more known for their cases and their cooling solutions, I guarantee you guys are going to want to take a look at this one because it's got some pretty cool features. So with that, let's go ahead and just take a look at the keyboard. The Thermaltake X1 RGB is a 104 key mechanical keyboard with an exposed switch design. It's comprised of a white metal backplate that's wrapped in a plastic casing with a matte finish, which I always like because you don't have to worry about fingerprint smudges. Aesthetically, the board looks pretty simple, and that's not bad. There's an RGB enabled Thermaltake logo above the escape key that's fairly large, but it's well illuminated and it does make it look kinda cool. The board itself is nice and weighty and has minimal flex when mashing down on the keys. The board also includes a magnetic detachable wrist rest that secures really well with very strong magnets. It's actually one of the first times that I've seen a magnetic wrist rest stick so good. The wrist rest feels nice to use and it has the same matte texture as the keyboard. A little bit of padding would have been nice, but ergonomically the shape is comfortable to use. If the name doesn't give it away, the X1 RGB has, yep, you guessed it, full 16.8 million color RGB illumination thanks to its Cherry MX RGB switches. The lights look nice and vibrant as you can expect from Cherry, and the clear switch bodies as always are very nice to look at. I also like that Thermaltake chose to go with a silver backplate behind the switches because it just really helps those lights reflect and pop a little bit more. As for the software controlling the lights, the X1 has one of the better softwares that I've seen in a while. It has a healthy amount of presets and offers a decent amount of customization within each one. The on-screen interface renders the animations in real time, which is not something that you get in lighting softwares very often. It's still not going to give you the freedom of Q or Synapse with intricate programming or layering of effects, but I'm pretty impressed by the step up in quality software Thermaltake is offering with this board. The software allows you to save up to 6 lighting profiles, complete with macros as well. The keycaps on the X1 RGB are made of ABS plastic and have a nice smooth feel to them. The font on the keycaps is nice and simple, and all of the secondary characters are well illuminated. Thermaltake also includes a set of 8 extra keycaps which are metallic red ABS plastic. You'll get keys for Q, W, E, R, A, S, D, and F, which will cover both FPS and MOBA games. Just keep in mind that these extra keys are mainly just for aesthetic purposes because there's no added texture or feel when using them. But that said, they look pretty nice, and they do kind of have this nice candy shell red look to them. As I mentioned before, this board uses Cherry MX RGB switches. You can get this board in either Cherry MX Speeds or Cherry MX Blues. As someone who loves the brown switches, it's kind of a bummer, but I do appreciate that they offer blues, as a lot of gaming companies seem to be moving away from blues in favor of reds or speeds. I chose to get the X1 in speeds, and true to Cherry performance, they are silky smooth. Still, the 1.2mm actuation distance does make me mistype every once in a while, but once you get used to them, they do feel quite nice. And as always, Cherry MX switches are rated to last 50 million keystrokes. But of course, I wouldn't leave you guys without a sound test, so here's the X1 RGB with Cherry MX speeds. In terms of extras, the X1 is no slouch, with its dedicated RGB enabled media keys complete with volume, scroll wheel, and mute button. It also has a Windows lock key for gaming and a brightness button for toggling between the 6 different brightness settings. Also, there's a dedicated game mode button. Like I mentioned before, it comes with extra keycaps, a keycap puller, and the wrist rest too. Additionally, the X1 also has USB and audio pass-through located at the back of the board. And the extras don't stop there. The X1 has voice-activated commands via a companion app that you can download for your phone, and it lets you customize your profiles and even use a virtual controller on your smartphone. It certainly is cool, but I don't really know how practical it all is. I mean, realistically, I would much rather use a keyboard and mouse over a virtual controller, even on games that are much better on controller, so your mileage may vary. By all accounts, the X1 checks all the boxes. The only thing that I would have liked to have seen is some dedicated macro keys, as I personally use them, but if that's not a deal breaker for you, this board damn near has it all. The underside of the keyboard has 3 rubberized pads and 2 rather beefy rubberized extendable legs to keep the board in place during use, and the wrist rest also has a few pads of its own as well. The cable on the X1 is nicely braided, but it is pretty thick and ends in 2 USB connectors and a single 3.5mm jack for the pass-through. Overall, with its robust design, Cherry MX switches, and slew of included extras, the X1 RGB is a great keyboard for its retail price of $139.99. And while its software might not be as great as some top tier keyboards out there, it's still quite good. The X1 shows that Thermaltake is taking the peripheral market seriously, providing us a flagship board that can go toe to toe with the best of them. Well, that's it for the review, guys. Let me know in those comments down below what you think about the X1 RGB and having a companion app to control your keyboard. If you enjoyed this video, well, you know what to do. Give it a big thumbs up. And of course, if you enjoyed the content, you want to see some more, I'd love to see you guys subscribe because I've got a lot more videos coming for you in the near future. Of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at Brainbean Gaming to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.